Welcome back to Sports Call here, Tiger 95.9. We are on Radio Row in Tampa, Florida. It is SEC Media Days, and we are now pleased to be joined by the Executive Director of the Panini Senior Bowl, Drew Fabianich, with us today. Drew, the time is greatly appreciated. How are you doing this afternoon?
Pleasure to be with you guys. I mean, been busy, but, hey, always got time for the Tigers.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. Last time we saw you, we were down in Mobile for the Panini Senior Bowl, and we were asking you about, again, taking it through your first full Senior Bowl experience. So kind of looking back on that and then seeing those guys get drafted, how kind of fulfilling was it that you put on that event again and had all those guys end up going into the NFL?
Yeah, it was a big task. Always felt like I was behind. I was 5 months behind on the process. We scrambled to get even 300 together on time. This year we're 6 weeks ahead. We've already got it done. We're not going to put it out till the middle of August. The travel was a bear, getting the players down there. We had to bring them down 3 days early. Almost, I think it was 85 players were there on Friday. So they had to stay from Friday all the way through the game, which I thought there'd be a little bit higher drop rate, and it wasn't. It was actually the lowest it's been in 4 years. So that was probably the most fulfilling piece of it. Now, 91 drafted, 24 drops, we probably would have had 100%, drafted. We had everybody got an invite to either rookie mini or training camp, and we got 96% in training camps right now. I'm really proud of what my staff did, what we had to do to get those players there, because if we wouldn't have, with that ice storm, we probably wouldn't have had a game. And it was cold on Saturday, but the week wasn't that bad. I mean, the weather was chilly, but it wasn't that bad. Root for better weather this year. Where we get guys in there on time, and I'm not going to change a lot, not at all, other than maybe one of the interview nights, and that's about it. It was hard though, and I feel a lot better this year because I kind of understand the cadence of everything and when everything's going to happen, when everything needs to go out. The civic functions and civic responsibilities that I have, I understand those now. I didn't know I was the unofficial mayor of Mobile when I got there, but I realize that now, and I get it, and I'll just run with it because it's important to the city, and they've always embraced it, and they always have, and they always will. But we want them to feel important about every piece of this too.
Getting to interview some of those guys from Radio Row and Mobile, and all types of guys, from the guys that are going to go early round draft pick to, we had Tyron Montgomery on from John Carroll, and just the process for draftees is so it's so NFL-like, because you guys have them doing interviews and doing these things super early in the morning, and they are doing practice, they're doing all these interviews, all these coaches meetings, all the way to the evening. How important is it that you get these scouts, these opportunities, but also that you're getting these players ready for what can be grueling days in the league, or just understanding what the process is like?
Well, I took a little bit of time off of them. We gave them some evenings off, which helped, I think, because it was a 24/7 grind for 7 days, and I wanted to make it more player-friendly. The league wants the players to go through the Senior Bowl. They want to see, when they say the draft starts in Mobile, that is true. Because people say it's their last college game. No, it's not. It's their first pro practice and their first pro game, because they're getting coached by pro coaches in the same structure of practice. They want to see you go through the interview process. They want to see you go through practice. They want to see you compete in the game. Because the most important aspect of players now going into the league is you need to be a pro, but you also need to show people that you want to compete and you love to play. Because an NFL locker room will eat your ass alive if you don't love to play. And veterans will run you out of the building because you're messing with their money too, whether it's playoff money, Super Bowl bonus, whatever. I mean, they won't tolerate it. And, again, you're responsible for yourself. So that week shows people that they're a pro because, again, nobody's babysitting them like they do in college. Nobody's saying you have to be class at 10, 20, and we'll have somebody take you. No, that doesn't happen. If you're late, that doesn't look good to the NFL. You're late to a meeting. You're late to an interview. You're late to practice. Again, be a professional. And that's the biggest piece that I think that the Senior Bowl brings, but it also brings an incredible way to increase your value exponentially, because guys were rated a lot lower before the game in practice, and like where they were rated and where they went, two totally different things, because the league will reward you for what you do down there because you're playing against the best players in the country.
So this past year in Mobile, I was down there in Mobile before the Senior Bowl for a Mardi Gras event in the hotel, I guess the team hotel. A lot of the guys were coming in while I was there. It seemed like every player that I met seemed like some of the top quality guys, just individuals. Is that something that you guys at the Senior Bowl look for? Is to, you want to have the best players, but these guys that I met just seemed like quality individuals. I mean, just an elevator ride and having a conversation. These guys just seem like top-notch quality dudes.
Well, you'd like to have great character people across the board. So would the league. Sometimes we'll take somebody with some character issues because the league wants to spend some time with them, and they hadn't been able to spend time with them before that. So we try to help them out a little bit too. Not everybody's a saint. People make mistakes, and we want them to be able to explain it, to the league. But yeah, I think a lot of these guys relish the opportunity, because every time I introduce myself to these guys, even here, I go, I'm Drew Fabianich, I'm the executive director of the Senior Bowl. They go, ooh. I mean, so at least they understand that it's the premier all-star game, always has been, always will be. And again, that's what makes it important to the city. That's what makes it important to everybody. Here's the other thing too, and I say this all the time. Why would you not come down and spend money to watch? Where can you watch more draftable players in one place at one time? Where? Is everybody in the Iron Bowl getting drafted? No. Is everybody, at the Ohio State-Michigan game getting drafted? No. But almost every swinging guy that's down there is getting drafted, and they're playing against the best, right? I tell players, I said, some of the guys you lined up against are working at UPS next week. You come to this game, you're lined up against a guy that's going to be there on Sunday, And we increased our value like exponentially. I mean, Keelan Rutledge was a third-round guy, and he goes the first round, made himself $13 million more in a 4-year contract. Caleb Banks, third-round guy, goes 18, same thing, $30 million difference in a 4-year contract. So, I mean, again, that's how important this is, and if the agents are not smart enough to figure that out, that's 3% they're not getting,
I want to ask you a little bit about stylistically college offenses versus what are more pro-style offenses and how those prospects are viewed, because Auburn has had a lot of very college-centric offenses the last decade plus. They bring in Alex Golis for year number 1 here, a veer and shoot offense, again, not something you're seeing really on Sunday. So when you're evaluating players in offensive systems that don't translate to pro offenses, what is that like, and what kind of handicap are they coming from?
Well, it's a handicap, especially when the terminology is not extensive. The greatest clip I've ever seen was Chris Sims trying to call a John Gruden play, and guess what? That's a mouthful. I mean, it's 2 sentences. Because they want to run a lot of plays. They identify what everybody does. And in college now, I mean, it's coming from the sidelines, it may be one word, tag. Do quarterbacks know how to run the line of scrimmage? And what I mean by that is, do they understand that? What about protection? Are they identifying the mic? Are they IDing a mic? Are they changing protections? Do they have kill calls? Do they have other calls in the huddle? See, the NFL has all that, right? And some guys come in and they're handcuffed because they may never even called a play in a damn huddle. They may never even called a snap count. Hell, Gruden makes fun of it. They're clapping all the time, right? Well, you still have to audibilize in the NFL. You can't just, let things run like that. So, yes, it's a definite disadvantage, and it takes a lot of time for some of those guys to adjust to the playbook and to understand that the pure volume is immense compared to what they do in college. Immense.
Talking to Drew Fabianich, the executive director of the Senior Bowl. And, Drew, I did want to ask you, too, you were talking about relationship with City of Mobile, also relationship with Panini. This was the first year they were on board. What have been building those relationships been like?
It's been good. I couldn't have asked for a better partner in Panini. I mean, Reese's was a great partner for a long time, but I like having a sports-centric sponsor that is actually tied to some of these players, because they have some of these high school kids and some of these college kids already signed before, they even come to us. Now, you'd think they'd want their clients to play in the game, which helps too. So it's been great. Like I said, I love sports-related, people and corporations to help us, and we're going to have some other ones, for the practice sponsorships too, that are more sports-related. Yeah.
And then finally we'll end with this. We know a lot of talent comes out of this league and league-wide. Again, I know you were talking last year about kind of maybe whittling down a little bit the watch list for what you guys were doing, or
already did it.
And you've already done it this year because you're weeks ahead.
Yeah.
So can you tell us an approximate percentage of how much of these guys in the SEC are going to make up that list?
I didn't look at that. I would say probably in the neighborhood of probably 40%, right in there. Now I'm just guessing.
Sure.
I looked at it more like where is it weak again,
Sure.
and where is it strong. That's kind of where I looked at it. I don't look at it primarily by school. I look at it by position, because I still have to go, hey, the safety class is, not very, there's not a lot of numbers there. The linebacker class, not a lot of numbers there. Corners are good. The receivers are good. Running backs, could be a little low. Quarterbacks are high, depending on if everybody comes out. If they don't, it could be about the same as it was last year. So I expect a lot of these guys that are popping off about talking about, I would expect them not to come out. That's just me personally.
I guess I've lied and give you one more quick one.
No, you can't do that.
So
we're not allowed back to the Senior Bowl now.
Nope.
with the NIL portion of it, is that kind of is that a factor at all for late round picks, or
not late round picks? Put it this way, I think it is for late round picks, and I know that the NFL's had an issue with that, especially offensive linemen, because they don't have guys. Because 15 offensive linemen go to camp. Well, sometimes they don't have enough guys so they draft free agents instead of waiting for free agents because they know they can't get them in free agency. So, yeah, but again, once the 5-year rule pops, then at least you'll know who cannot go back.
Sure.
Now you could still go out 3 years from your graduation date, right? And then we can have you as a junior if you graduate, by that December. But again, at least that'll give you some guardrails of going like, okay, is this guy going to get 6 or 7 years, depending on an injury or whatever? I mean, now at least it's pretty much cut and dry.
Sure.
You got 5 years eligibility. Let's go. You can't redshirt. If you do, who cares? It doesn't count. I mean, it still counts. I think that's good. But yes, you're better off staying and playing as a 6th or 7th round draft pick because the money's guaranteed and you're not even close to guaranteed to making it as a 6th or 7th rounder in the league. You're just not. So.
He is the executive director of the Panini Senior Bowl, Drew Fabianich, with us today. Drew, we certainly appreciate the time. All the best throughout the process. Glad you've had the time to not only catch up but to exceed pace, and we look forward to the whole college football season and seeing how it all shakes out.
Yeah, we'll see you in Mobile again.
Absolutely.
You guys enjoy.
Absolutely. Drew,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Drew Fabianich with us today on Sports Call.